Today, what I'd like to talk about is how to hold the bat properly. One of the things that I find the most that I have to correct the most is when young kids are coming into my clinics or we're doing private lessons. A lot of the kids are holding the bat improperly, and generally, that's the first thing I look at to see that I can help their swings with. One of the biggest problems I see is that the players are holding the bat really deep in their hands and they're choking it with their thumb right here, and they're doing it on both hands. Where that's a problem is that it takes your bottom hand, and it rolls your bottom hand over like this, and that your top hand gets locked up, and you have no freedom with your hand because it's too deep in and it pushes up against your thumb. So when you see players taking a swing and shaking their hands because it hurts their hand or their thumb, it's generally because they have the bat handle too deep into the palm of their hands. What I'd like to see and what you should do is you should place the bat handle on the crease of your hands right here. It should be right across where your calluses are. If it's up here in the crease of your hands, it's too deep, too far up. If it's in your palm of your hands, it's too deep. And generally, why people have it in the palm of their hands, that's usually where they see the biggest mistakes, is because when they're younger hitter, they struggle with holding the bat because their hands are too small, and they're forced to hold the bat in the palm of their hands. But as they get older and their hands get bigger and longer, that ends up being a detriment to their swing. So the correction is just to lay the bat right where the calluses are on the top hand and then on the bottom hand. And when you know it's in the correct position, when you have your hands in a hitting position and this top hand is facing up and this bottom hand is facing straight down. If it's too deep in your hands, you'll see that this top hand or this bottom hand, sorry, is facing the pitcher. And that's how you know it's too deep in the bottom hand. The top hand, you know it's too deep when you can see the palm is facing the pitcher. So what I do with my young kids is I just get them to do it over and over. Piece in the callus of the hand, in the callus in the hand, put your bat out front and see where your hands are. Look, palm up, palm down. That's the correct way to hold the baseball bat. In this video, I want to talk about having some rhythm with your hands as the pitcher gets set. So as a hitter, when you pick up the pitcher, sitting in batter's box, you're waiting for the pitcher to get set. And once he gets set and your hands are ready, at this point here in time, at this point in time, what I want you to do is to have a little bit of rhythm. So it could be a circular motion, it could be a back and forth motion, but you need to have some rhythm in order to get your hands started to get that load in a good spot. If your hands are still, then you become a little bit too robotic. And what happens is you get here, you load, stop, and then you go. And that slows down your swing, your bat path, and your bat speed. So, in my experience, the best thing to do is when you get set, is have your hands in position somewhere around your face, somewhere around here, not too far back. Have a little rhythm, and then once the pitcher gets set and he separates his hands, you want to do then is start your load. So nowadays, a lot of people have winter programs or they work out indoors. One of the main things that I want you to focus on is when to load at different stations. So there's loading in games where the pitcher's on the mound. There's loading when somebody's throwing you soft toss. There's loading when somebody's throwing to batting practice overhand. And the load is different for each one. So what I want you to get used to is when to load at the proper time for each station. The load is imperative for success in hitting. When you're sitting here in the batter's box, you're waiting for the pitcher to get set, you're gonna have your hands in a rhythm. You're gonna have your hands set somewhere around here in this area near the back of your head or wherever you're comfortable with. You're gonna have a little rhythm with your hands. Once the pitcher sets and he separates his hands, that when he gets in this position right about here, that's where I suggest you take your load. So all the load is taking your hands from your set position back. So you have rhythm to bring your hands forward, throw your hands when the ball's coming in. Now, the timing of your load could be different for everybody. If the pitcher's throwing really hard, sometimes you want to get your load started when he gets down here and separates. So if the pitcher's throwing a little harder or a little softer, sometimes you want to wait until he gets his arm back to load. But for me, I'd like to load at the same time every time, no matter how hard the pitcher threw or how soft he threw. So for me, I'm in set position here, and I load when the pitcher separates his hands, then I'm ready to go. So the load is just simply in here, in set position, bring your hands back, so you're ready to throw your hands forward once the ball comes in. So for instance, if somebody's throwing to you from the pitching machine, you want to be loading as the pitcher, whoever's throwing you the ball, who are loading the ball for you. You want to load as that person who's loading the pitching machine. So concentrating again on the load, when you should load. When somebody's here feeding you balls for batting practice, generally the person feeding you the machine is going to show you the ball. So whoever's feeding you the ball, hands up here, gets their hand in a higher position, they're showing you the ball. As soon as they start moving their hands down, that's when you should get back in your load. If you wait until that ball is being dropped into the pitching machine, which I see a lot of, it's too late. That ball's going to be on top of you, and you'll probably swing through it, or it'll be by you before you know it. Now, if somebody's sitting on a bucket with the L screen and they're flipping you balls, the load is different. It's not the same as when they're loading a pitching machine or if they're loading as they're throwing in a live game. So if somebody's sitting on a bucket and they're flipping you balls, you want to load as soon as they separate their hands. They'll grab their ball, and as soon as they separate their hands there, you want to load. When you're loading with throwing soft toss, the pitcher, whoever's throwing you the soft toss, as soon as they separate their hands or their hands get right about here, this is when you want to load. If you wait till their hand starts coming forward and they're releasing the ball, it's too late. You're going to be standing a short distance away, and that ball's going to be by you, or you're going to rush to get to the baseball, and you're going to struggle hitting the ball consistently. So your timing for your load is in soft toss is when the pitcher separates his hand and gets right about here, anywhere in here. If you wait till here, you're probably going to be too late. If the L screen is set back a little more, and now they're throwing you a little bit of live batting practice, then it's almost like a game situation. Once the pitcher separates his hands, you get a load. That's for live BP. If he's throwing BP really hard, you might want to move. So you might want to do your load as soon as, literally as soon as he moves his hand. If he's flipping a little softer, you might want to take your time with your load, or load a little bit later when the arm gets over here. So those are a couple tips that might help you with hitting batting practice indoors, where you can get your time down constantly and consistently. Tracking the baseball is done numerous amount of ways, but what I like to teach is to track the baseball not only with your eyes, but with your front hip. So what's important here is that you have consistency when you're tracking the baseball. So a lot of times I see hitters not tracking the baseball properly, not following the baseball into the hitting zone, because that's what tracking the baseball is. And they're in a still position, and what happens is the first thing when they move their hands forward, they end up flying open. They end up getting rid of their hips too early, their shoulder too early, and that takes their head with them. Tracking the baseball allows you to stay on that baseball, following it right into the hitting zone. So once that ball is thrown, whether it's a pitching machine, through an L screen, or in a live game, the first thing you should do is, once the ball is released from the pitcher's hand, is follow that baseball in with your front hip. So if you're in this, and you're in your stance, you're ready to hit, and the pitcher separates his hands, and he starts coming forward. His hand gets here, and the ball releases out of his hand. What I want you to do is follow that baseball in with your front hip. So it'll look something like this. Pitcher's winding up. He's releasing the ball. Boom. Following the ball in with my front hand. Boom. Keeps my head tracking the baseball, following the baseball in, and now I can follow that baseball in with my eyes. That's the second way you track the baseball. First with your hip out of the pitcher's hand, and then follow the baseball in with your eyes. So it looks something like this. Follow in, releasing the ball, follow the ball in with your hip, track the baseball with your eyes, put your swing on there, keep your head down at contact. So again, tracking the baseball just means that you're going to follow the ball in. A lot of people follow it in with their head, but they get a lot of head movement. So by tracking the ball with your hip, you're following that baseball into the hitting zone, keeping your head still. Now all you have to do is follow the ball in with your eyes, and you'll be able to see the ball in all three hitting zones in the middle of the way. That'll help you hit the ball harder and more successful. You'll make more contact, you'll have less swing and misses, and you'll become more of a consistent hitter. The trigger is simply, once you've loaded and you're ready in your launch position, it's simply when your hands start coming forward to the baseball. It's that simple. But you need to be in rhythm when you're ready to throw your hands, when you need to trigger. So combining your starting position with your hands, combining it with your load, combining it with your tracking the baseball. Your trigger is simply when you're going to fire the baseball bat. And that's one of the most important things when you're hitting, is to have your hands back in the launch position so you can trigger on a consistent basis. Stride is the next topic I wanted to hit. I really, it's a broad subject and people stride differently. Some people have no stride. Some people have a long stride. Some people stand straight up, have long stride. Some people stride and they stride out a little bit. Some guys have a closed stance, but the stride needs to happen consistently at one time. Once you've gotten your position, you've gotten your rhythm, gotten your load. Now, when you're in this position, as the ball is traveling to the base, to the plate, you want to get your stride in. So your stride needs to happen when the pitcher's arm is at the highest spot. Pitcher's arm reaches the highest spot, you start tracking the baseball and striding. Once the ball is halfway to the plate, that's when you want your front foot to get down. If you wait until the ball's on top of you, close to the plate, your stride's going to be too late. So you want to be able to track the baseball into the halfway to the plate, and that's when your stride happens. So it's going to look like something like this. You get here, you're going to load, you're going to pick up your front foot, stride as the ball's to halfway to the plate, your front foot gets down, and now you're ready to hit. So it's really, really hard to get really good balance. So there's a few things you can do to get balance that help you out, but there's some checkpoints after you swing that you can help yourself maintain better balance, and there's some small adjustments that you can do. So the first thing I suggest for you to do is continue working on your load and your stride and your trigger and all that. But once you decide to start taking your swings, your full swings, what I want you to do is follow the ball in and take your cut. You're going to hold your swing, okay? Now what I want you to do is check out your reference is your nose of your head. If you can draw a straight line from your nose straight down the middle of your body after you've taken a swing, you notice I can probably sit here all day like this. That's when you know you have good balance. So things that throw off balance, there's a lot of things that can throw off your balance. But in order to have really good balance, to maximize your lower half and to generate more bat speed and power, you need to have your legs underneath you. That's why balance is probably the most important thing for your swing after you've worked on your load and all your other mechanics. You have good balance. You can max out your lower half. You can generate more power because your legs are underneath you. So, a couple things. If you're taking your swings and you're striding into the plate, you're taking your swing, and after you swing, you end up kicking your back leg out. There's no way that your nose is in the middle of your body anymore. So that tells you that your back leg or your front stride is causing your balance to be off. So there's drills for all that, and those will be in later videos. But that's one thing if you're striding in, that's one reason why you probably want to be able to get your stride more in line than diving into the plate. Other guys that have trouble maintaining balance are the guys who stride out, take their swing, and they end up kicking their back leg out. And that's again, there's no way that you have your balance because your back leg isn't in the swing. Other guys like to track the baseball in and they like to lunge and take their swing and then again their back leg kicks out and they don't have their balance either. So the best way to work on your balance is to take your swing, boom, hold it, check your body out. If your feet are in line, if your back foot is in line with your front foot, you probably have your balance and you'll hit the ball a lot harder. Extension is an important part of your swing. For me, I like to teach that once you make contact, your bat wants to follow where the baseball is going. The ball is traveling over there, my bat's traveling over there. The ball is hit up the middle, my bat is following up the middle. And same with the wave. If the ball's coming in and I'm making contact here, if I'm hitting the ball over there, my bat is following my contact. That's extension. You notice it's here and you're following through the baseball. A lot of guys get in a spot where they're making contact here and they're coming around the front shoulder and they're cutting out their swing and they're not getting any extension. So extension is the way the bat path travels. It's the way the barrel follows the baseball. That's how you get extension. If you don't get extension, you're cutting off your swing and you're probably going to end up rolling over and hitting a lot of ground balls, or you end up hitting weak fly balls everywhere. So when you're hitting, you want to concentrate on throwing your hands where the baseball's hit. And that's how you get good extension. So again, if the ball's getting hit here, the hands, boom, the bat is going with it. It's not coming around, it's following the ball. So if you look something like this, you're going to be here, good spot, you're going to load, you're going to get your front foot down, you're going to trigger, you swing, and the extension goes where the ball's being hit. That's for the inside pitch, extension for the middle, everything's going that way. Ball get deeper, away. And everything goes, the hands go where the ball's traveling. And that's one way of thinking about extension.